I'm Adam Todd, and welcome to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. I believe that the best way to engage students in a 21st century classroom is to immerse them with the transformative tools that will empower each and every one of them to excel in the future world that awaits. My focus is to ignite the spark that propels you and your students into an advanced tomorrow, and your journey into that future starts right now. Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Calling all educators. Are you ready to inspire creativity and engagement in your students? Unlock their full potential with content creation. Imagine empowering them with cutting-edge tools like the Blue Sono microphone from Logitech, which ensures crystal clear audio quality for impactful projects. Logitech offers a full range of content creation solutions, from audio equipment and cameras to lighting and editing software. Plus, they have a suite of education solutions tailored for classrooms, elevating the learning experience for students and educators alike. Empower the next generation of creators by exploring the possibilities at logitech.com/education today. Discover Higher Ground Gear, your ultimate solution for top-tier technology protection tailored for students and educators. Higher Ground Gear designs purposeful, universal products that evolve and grow with you over time, ensuring your devices are safeguarded with meticulous attention to detail and long-lasting materials. Higher Ground Gear cases stand up to the expected and unexpected of everyday life. Don't compromise on protection. I chose Higher Ground Gear for unparalleled durability and functionality in safeguarding my tech gear, and so should you. For the full lineup of products, including their ShockGuard hard shells for Chromebooks and iPads, visit hggear.com. Elevate your technology protection today with Higher Ground Gear. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics, the podcast where we get into the exciting world of technology and education. Hi everybody, I'm your host Adam Todd, and today's episode is going to get you very excited about STEM and the amazing opportunities that students can have with Envision by World Strides and their National Youth Leadership Forum Pathways to STEM. So, what is the program all about anyway? Well, imagine a platform that goes beyond textbooks where transformative experiences are designed to inspire and empower the next generation of scientists, engineers, and innovators in a field that is changing on a monumental scale, especially with the introduction of artificial intelligence and the role that it could possibly play in the future. But what exactly sets this particular program apart from other STEM programs? Well, for starters, this immersive initiative provides students a hands-on experiential approach to STEM. So think real-world problem-solving, collaboration with peers, and mentorships from industry professionals. It's the perfect combination that sets students on a trajectory to success. And what do students gain? Well, it's not just about technical skills. Participants develop critical thinking, problem-solving abilities, and a deeper understanding of how STEM disciplines interconnect with the world around us. And as already mentioned, students get a glimpse into potential career paths through interactions with industry leaders, a stepping stone toward making a meaningful impact on the ever-evolving landscape of science and technology. Stay tuned as we explore the National Youth Leadership Forum Pathways to STEM program. And when we come back, we'll talk with Anthony Verlisi, a product manager at Envision by World Strides, who believes that education outside of traditional classroom walls can lead to some amazing opportunities and can spark an interest in solving real-world problems through STEM. We'll be right back. Are you a dedicated educator searching for fresh and engaging resources to inspire your students? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. Discover a treasure trove of easy-to-use lesson plans, vibrant visuals, and interactive activities designed to captivate young minds and ignite their love for learning. Unlock the potential within your classroom with Highly Motivated, from differentiated lap books to test prep passages on a multitude of topics. Our wide range of materials cater to most elementary and middle school grade levels. Join the community of passionate teachers who have already transformed their classrooms. Visit Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers and get ready to inspire, motivate, and empower your students like never before. Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers, where knowledge meets inspiration.
Teachers, you play a pivotal role in shaping your students' lives beyond the classroom walls. Your guidance and support are instrumental in helping them discover their passions, unlock their potential, and pave the way for future success. Envision by World Strides recognizes the impact you have on your students' journeys, which is why we invite you to nominate those who show academic promise, career aspirations, or leadership potential for our transformative programs. We've spent nearly 40 years partnering with educators like you, helping students apply that guidance. Our summer leadership and STEM programs for elementary and middle school students and high school career emergent programs in fields like medicine, engineering, law, national security, and more offer an unparalleled opportunity for your students to test drive dream careers and enhance their college and career planning skills, experience life at top universities, and form enduring friendships. There's still time to nominate a student for this upcoming summer programs. The lifelong success of your students begins with you. Nominate a student for one of our transformative programs today at envisionexperience.com. That's envisionexperience.com.
He's a product manager at World Strides who's developed and delivered incredible programs such as Middle School Explore STEM and High School National Security, Engineering, and Medicine. Recently, his role has shifted to design a strategy for World Strides portfolio programs. I'd like to welcome Anthony Varlisi to Classroom Dynamics. It's awesome to have you on today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So today's focus is STEM and some of the experiences that students can have outside of traditional classroom settings. But before we begin, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Envision by World Strides.
Yeah, so my journey with Envision by World Strides actually started when I was in 8th grade, when my guidance counselor nominated me to attend one of their programs. I was the kid who was always trying something different. I was playing instruments, I was sports, after school math club. I think in retrospect, I was really trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted to be. Aren't we all? And at that age, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I went to our law program, and I actually realized after the fact that that was not for me, which was equally important. As an alumni, I got a chance to come back and go to our medicine program the following year. Again, realized that wasn't for me. And if I didn't get a steady job after that to pay for this experience, I likely would have gone into our business program next. But I think even when I went to college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I started as an economics major and spent most of my time in adolescent education after that, but then dropped the education piece because I realized the classroom wasn't for me, and I ended up with a degree in physics and math. But I ended college and I was like, oh shoot, do I still know what I wanted to do? And I got an email from World Strides to come and work for us seasonally, and I jumped on it because I was like, okay, I don't have anything else to do. And this was a cool program, when I was a kid. And then I haven't left. So I think I spent my entire life trying different career paths, figuring out what I wanted to do. And it was kind of in front of me the whole entire time. I love to help others try and figure out what they want to do for different career paths. And that's the role that I get to play today at Envision by World Strides, designing 20 plus programs for students. So it's kind of funny how everything is full circle, but that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool if you think about it, right? You had that opportunity to kind of figure out what you didn't like a lot earlier than most kids do when they're first going to college. So you kind of skipped those hurdles a little bit and got there a little faster in the end when you kind of look back at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that money that we saved not going to law school or medical school, paid for itself. So yeah, I'm sure my parents were very happy as well.
Well, it's better than being in it for a couple of years and then realizing, you know what, I don't know if this is for me. And then you got to
Yeah.
turn around and restart and go to square one again.
Yeah, exactly.
So the National Youth Leadership Forum, the Pathways to STEM program, is a very popular program that's offered by Envision by World Strides. How does this unique program compare to other STEM education initiatives?
Yeah, so our Pathways to STEM program holds a special place because it's our youngest program that we offer for elementary school students. And I think what really sets our programs up, differently than others is the people who are joining them all have a shared interest. We used to say that they were like-minded, but they actually, it'd be really silly to say that people are like-minded because everyone came with a different experience, a different perspective, but they all had a shared interest. They all wanted to go into STEM, and that's a really loaded phrase now, but it allowed them to build connections very quickly with one another. And I'm always impressed on the first night when these third graders who don't know each other are like making friends and building connections, and then after 6 days they are crying because like their friend that they've met for the is like their best friend forever. And it's like because you had that shared interest. It's amazing what passion, when people have the same passion and you put them together in a room, what they can accomplish. And so I think one that sets us up really unique because not a lot of times are you with people who have that same interest. Not that you should be, but it definitely helps. And then I think the hands-on components. So with medicine in that program, they dissect a calf heart. I can't imagine dissecting a calf heart when I was in third grade. That actually makes me sick as a grown adult thinking about it. But, I'm building and programming a robot. I know robots are fun now, but they do fingerprinting and crime scene analysis. And what's really unique about all this is you're doing all this in 6 days, but we tie it all back to a single storyline. And so the students are doing the case of the missing map, and they're learning about medicine and how that's going to help them on this case. They're learning about fingerprinting and how they're going to figure out who did it. And they've got to design a bridge that the robot has to cross over to go and find them. It's this whole thing. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but everything that they do connects to one another. And so that in and of itself is really unique because sometimes you don't, in life, there's a lot of different things that are connected, but it's not in a controlled environment. So you don't sometimes have a hard time establishing those connections. Whereas here we have very, very good control over that. And I think the third thing that I'll mention is, again, something that I'm fortunate enough that I got to do as an eighth grader or ninth grader. But what I hear often of like, oh, I wish I got to do that was our programs are residential. We do have commuter programs where students locally can come by, but most of our students stay overnight on college campuses. Like, they're in the dorms, they're in the dining hall, they're walking to class, like from one place to another with their group leader. I could never imagine as a third grader staying overnight in a dorm of some like big name universities or the local university that's near my hometown that everyone dreams to go to. You get to try that out first and figure out, like I got, this is really cool. I want to go here when I'm older. Or wait a minute, time out. I don't want to go here. Maybe I want to travel a little bit further away from home. So again, you just get, like you were saying earlier, like you get to try something out a lot sooner than most normal people do when they're going through this. So yeah.
It's really, you touched upon the hands-on approach a lot in that, and you didn't want to give too much away, and I totally get it. But with that hands-on approach, what benefits, I think teachers know the answer to this already, but I'll ask it anyway. What are some of the benefits does that hands-on approach give to those kids?
Yeah, I think where most of the learning occurs is when you have the opportunity to ask questions and either get an immediate response or see a response. And that's where getting that hands-on, I know that, again, the buzzword out there that everyone likes to use, but it's really at the core of what we do. When the students I have to watch from afar when they're dissecting the calf hearts, but I will walk by a classroom and see it because I'll get sick. But they're like, what is this? Oh, cool. Like, look at how this moves. Look at what, around this corner. And I'm blown away at how like the students are like heads in and they're with the scalpel and they're asking the teacher, wait, what is this? Or what does this do? And like, so asking that question and getting that immediate response, oh, this is, so on and so forth. Same thing with forensics. The students are, they've got to do the fingerprint. They go into the crime scene, and the objective is to analyze what they see. And because they're in that environment, when you're in third or fourth grade, you're high energy, you're just rushing through it. You want to figure out and find the answer. But the teachable moment there is, well, actually, you've got to have patience. You've got to slow down a little bit. You could be making a decision that's going to impact somebody's life in the future if you're analyzing data and too quickly and you miss something. And so being hands-on and immersed in that environment, the teacher can say, well, wait a minute, let's go back. You ran through this really quick and that's great, but let's actually go back and slow down, and you get to experience what you should be doing when you're in that career later on. And so I think having the opportunity to just ask those questions is really where the learning occurs, and get that either real-time immediate feedback. And that's the whole goal of the hands-on experience. And I'd even argue when we're not doing some of those like simulations or workshops, because there are some other components that make up our programs, like speakers and site visits and such, that can be equally hands-on when you're getting a chance to raise your hand and ask this professional in the field, like, oh, wait a minute, can you tell me how you got to where you were today? Or was it difficult when you had to overcome this challenge that you talked about during your speech? And like, that's equally hands-on than just like, physically hands-on. So it's super beneficial to the approach. And I think it's a step deeper than what most people think about when they think about education. And that's like sitting and absorbing information. We're assuming that a lot of people have had that opportunity in school to sit and absorb the information. And now we want you to actually like practice it. It's fun.
I was just going to actually mention that. I think it's such a great multi-layered approach, by doing that, because you're right. If you're sitting in a classroom, you can absorb, maybe not everyone's absorbing at the same rate or the same amount. But then I think once that 3-dimensional aspect comes into play and that tangible touch, smell, all of the sensory parts come together, I think it really does explode, and it really gives them a multi-dimensional approach to understanding and learning that particular, whatever it is that they're learning. It could be anything in STEM.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It's funny too, because a lot of kids will actually say they prefer working in a group with, something tangible in their hands, tools, even a computer for that matter. But, and I think if you polled kids, you probably find almost every single one of them would rather do that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, they will.
So what ways does the Pathways to STEM program help students develop beyond the traditional technical skills, such as critical thinking and problem solving?
Yeah. So we, again, I use another buzzword here that we use internally, the social emotional learning. But part of the big takeaways of what our programs offer is the maturity and growth that students will gain after attending this. Even though it's 6 days, the 5 sort of SEL, social emotional learning components that we physically teach, but are embedded throughout the experience, are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills, all of which are key whenever you're going to kind of go further on in your life journey. And, when we're thinking and talking and engaging students about self-awareness, that's them recognizing their emotions and how it impacts their behavior. This can be a very emotional experience for the students, especially the Pathways to STEM program, where a lot of times this might even be their first time away from home. And they're scared, they're anxious, they might get upset. And we have an amazing team of scholar relations team members who we hire specifically for this role, where they're working with the students of like, okay, well, now let's learn how we can regulate these emotions and use these in this challenging situation to achieve goals. So let's like sit down and let's create a goal for us. And we'll call that sometimes. Well, it might be advanced enough that we have to call the parent, and we'll work with the parent to say, okay, like we know you want your student to go through this. We want them to go through this experience. Like, let's create some goals. Like, let's take it step by step. And that to me is like, it's one of those things like I don't think we sell it enough as a benefit of the program, because it comes out in our surveys every time, and all of them. Like, my child, I've noticed this huge difference, and beyond just STEM, it's embedded in all of our programs. That social awareness component, I got an opportunity to sit in one of our classrooms. Benefit of my job is I get to go around to all the different programs, and I sat in one of the classrooms on the first day with one of our seasoned folks that we bring in every summer, and And we hear about her, and so I was like, I gotta go see her in action. And she had a box taped at the front of her classroom, and she was standing in the box, and she was saying how back at home you might have lived in the same area, and you might have been like put in a box. Like as you've been growing up, people have defined who you were, you've defined who you were, and you might be okay with that, or you might not be. Maybe you were put into this box that you're just not comfortable with, and you don't feel like you can be yourself. Well, guess what? No one here knows who you are. You like hit that reset button, and then she would step out of the box and say like, and step out of the box, step out of your comfort zone, be your true self. Maybe try something new that you can't, like you're scared of, or you can't try back at home because of you're afraid of the impact it will have. And but like just be yourself. More importantly, show compassion and empathize and express the gratitude for others who are taking that courageous step outside of the box. And I speak a lot towards it's more really impactful in our high school program because those students are much further along. But even with Pathways to STEM in elementary school, like they still could be put in a box at that age. It's crazy to me. And so that social awareness of being able to recognize, oh, wait a minute, here's what this person brings to the team. And a lot of our work that we do is teamwork, and we break the students up into groups. It's there's a couple of individual things, but not much. And that's where like those relationship skills and that social awareness it blows me away. And it was super impactful when I watched that. Barbara was her name, when I watched her facilitate that. So. Yeah. And then I guess the last thing is the decision making. Like you have to decide to wake up and like you have a roommate, and okay, what time are we going to go to bed tonight? It's 10 o'clock. We've done our room check, and we expect lights out, but they're up until 4 o'clock in the morning talking to this new friend. And then now, what? I got to get up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to go to bed. Like, is that the right decision that you should have made there? Or we've got a packed day and agenda. So I mean, it just the skills that you gain for that alone, beyond just the technical skills, I think is part of the core, part of our DNA here.
There's a lot to say for social emotional work. Again, it does, like you mentioned, it does span not just elementary, but this is a lifelong type of situation. And I think a lot of kids don't know how to manage those emotions. Do you feel that during those few days that they're with you, that there is some kind of growth? Do they actually start to realize, oh, whoa, this is a little bit more than I was used to, and now I'm looking at it a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in situations where, like, when I was facilitating content back years ago, I had a student who was like, I want to go home, and I remember working with his mother, and being like, okay, like what is he interested in? Like, I don't know enough about him that I want to like help me figure this out so I can work with him. And we found out we were both, well, I knew he was from Long Island, and I grew up on Long Island. And like I used that as a tool. I lived 30 minutes. I used to play soccer over there. Oh, I love soccer. I'm on the soccer team. Oh, you're on the soccer team? Like, oh, the World Cup is like, and so I'd find those things to connect with them. And then, next thing you know, he's like staying in the program, and I got a text from his mom afterwards, like, he's so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Like he was like, I was ready to go home, but had I not like sat down or like found something that just kept me engaged a little bit, that allowed me to process those emotions and thoughts in that situation, I would have made a decision that wouldn't have, that now I've learned, okay, I've got to find something that grounds me or connects me to the situation before I just run, and then that fight or flight. So yeah, I mean, that to me is super rewarding. And most of our students get that, whether it's just on a different scale, whether it's right. That's more. Yeah.
And without that, you then don't get to do the program. And if you're not doing the program, right, there is the whole kit and caboodle, right?
Yeah, exactly. This was our engineering program, and it's like this had nothing to do with engineering, and like it was just distracting him from actually getting a chance to see, like, is this the career that I actually want to go into? It turned out to be, but he wouldn't have known.
That's amazing. So, okay, let's talk about that then, right? In terms of opportunities, what kinds of interactions and mentoring opportunities do participants in the program have with, industry professionals who are out there? Has it ever really led to something a little bit more permanent in terms of, career, where they're going either from, when they're graduating high school or even thereafter in college?
Yeah, I mean, we bring in a lot of speakers. We, depending upon the age group, we'll take students on site visits, to go and try and like immerse them into that life or that experience. And I think, again, students form connections with these people who are in the industry because they too have that shared interest. And so when you bring all these people around you and you're surrounded with people who have that passion, it kind of makes it a lot easier. And I'm always impressed by the questions that the students ask of our speakers. For our middle school STEM program, we bring in an astronaut, and Leroy Chow. I love him. He's been working with us for years now. And a lot of students sit there and they talk to him, and they see themselves in his shoes. But then he'll take the time to answer all of their questions, and he'll even stay behind when we're like, okay, we got to go to the next thing. And he'll like sit and talk to that student and figure things out. And I can't say if that's led to anything, but on our high school programs, for sure, it's led to things. I remember meeting one of the girls who attended our game and technology program at George Mason University. I talked to her on departure day, and she said, "This is what I want to do, and this is where I want to go to school." She was a junior at the time, and 2 years later, I found out she did get into George Mason University. She ended up applying. She got in. She attended that degree program. And I learned all this because 3 years later, when she was a senior, she actually applied to work for us, and we hired her, and she became one of those mentors and to talk to the students about, okay, this was my college experience. But for that program, we had a speaker come from one of the gaming industry, one of the game developer, come and speak to the students. And it was the same game developer that came and spoke to the students 4 years later when she was working for us. And she was talking to him and saying, like, I'm in this degree program. Like, do you all do internships or anything like that? And he was like, yeah, we do. So she got an internship with them, and then she graduated and ended up joining the company. And so I sit there, I'm like, would she have ever been working for this big game developer had she had not went to the program as a student? And so, I mean, that's one of the success stories. I'm sure we have plenty more, but
think about the inspiration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, inspiration goes a long way. You can inspire a kid at age 5, and you can inspire a kid at age 15 who's getting ready to go to, starting to think at least about going to college, and then even thereafter, you can inspire someone who's past college to change, to see something different that they probably didn't, expect to see, or didn't realize it was, like you said, your path was really right in front of you the whole time. Sometimes people don't see that until they have to go through a few things that they don't like, right? And that kind of, I don't want to say wakes them up, but I think it narrows down their understanding of where their interest lies.
Yeah. And it's crazy. One other quick story that I can remember was when I was doing the engineering program, I had a kid, and on the first day of the program, he introduced himself. He said, "My father is an executive at Google." And my heart sank, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm now teaching somebody who's got this really important family member. What if I steer him on the wrong path and, and stuff. And I remember meeting the father on departure day and him being like, hey, thank you, because I was really nervous that my child was going down this path because they saw me in it and they felt like they kind of had to follow my footsteps. And so we signed him up because we wanted to see, is this something that he actually enjoys? And he did. He's going to be a mechanical engineer, but it was a little bit different than what his father was. But sometimes people don't they're following in footsteps, or they feel this pressure. And to me, that was that weight lifted when he said that. And it was like, okay, good. I didn't steer your son down the wrong path. I use your product every day, by the way. So it's So it's. There's mentoring opportunities and learnings and interactions both ways. I think we learn just as much from the students as they do from us.
So how long has Envision by World Strides been doing the summer programs?
Oh, since 1985, I want to say. So it's been a while. Well, it started out with the DC leadership program, so teachers bringing their students to DC, and then slowly but surely, we've acquired a few companies along the way that have done some similar things, and really the career college career readiness stuff is the core of what we do in our individual business.
So, because the reason why I'm asking is, how does World Strides ensure that the program adapts? It's got to evolve. The technology is evolving faster than, my God, it probably just evolved in this podcast alone, and we didn't even realize it, right? It's evolving so fast. The technology, the change from just I would even say a year ago, is I don't want, maybe dramatic, but I think it is. There was a big leap, especially with artificial intelligence now playing a big role. Does that play a role in how you guys evolve and kind of figure out what direction you guys are going in?
Yeah, I mean, it moves so fast. You're spot on. I mean, we have amazing partners, individuals that we work with who are in the field for a living. They live and breathe the careers, the various career fields. We work with a lot of educators to help design like, it's not just us. We have an amazing internal team. Our academics team is great, and the team that I work with is great. But we wouldn't really be who we are without the people we work with, because they, like you said, things are evolving so quickly. Like just last year with AI, I feel like, or maybe it was 2 years ago in the spring or some late spring is when Chat GPT was starting to really get big. And I remember sitting there and talking to my colleague about, shoot, we have a program in 3 months. Like, the kids are going to want to do this. Like, this is like, how can we, like, it takes a lot for us to stand up some of these programs. And I was on a call with one of our partners, and he's like, listen, I got this amazing idea. Like, let's, I'm working on this AI thing and designing movie posters and using pictures, but like, we can tie it back to neural networks and all this stuff for the engineering students. And I was like, okay, like, let's pilot it. Let's get it ready. Let's get it put together. And then what we like to do also is we took that as an opportunity to also bring in the ethical conversations, because there was also a lot of conversations about, this is banned, and students are using this for their homework and all this stuff. And we were like, okay, well, let's like actually bring this in and talk about the benefits and use, or even the cons of it. Like, what are the dangers of this? And so he designed the workshop around that as well, and we rolled it out. It was really successful. The students thoroughly enjoyed it. And then this past year, we were able to expand it to more programs. So we work with a lot of our partners to help us adapt very quickly, because they're in the career field in their day to day. Some of our curriculum, it might be a little bit, might last 2 or 3 years, because it's like, okay, nothing major has changed, or we can take a component of it and we'll say, okay, like, let's revamp this. Like, we had a helicopter workshop where students were doing helicopters, and we're okay, helicopters are cool, but like, what about drones? Drones are even cooler. And so now they, for our Pathways to STEM alumni program, they start out with a Vex robot, and then they go to the alumni program if they want to come back, and they get drones, and we bring in a drone speaker, and that speaker keeps it relevant, keeps it fresh, because again, we're just coming out for the summer. And so I think that's like our winning formula of working with our partners who do this for a living to help keep us on our toes. And frankly, I mean, that's where, going back to the hands-on experiences and where learning happens, like, we're all in this together, both us and the students. Like, we're a lot of this technology we're learning together. And so it kind of makes it that much more exciting, that much more fun when we can kind of challenge each other and learn collectively. So yeah, it's technology definitely forces us to confront topics that are unknown or difficult to process, but yeah, I think we've got a good handle on it.
I agree. I nominate kids every year. And sometimes I nominate a student who I think would absolutely love it more than anything. Sometimes I nominate a student, like we were talking about earlier, I want to maybe push them a little bit, and I think this is something they would enjoy and it might get them out of their shell. And sometimes I nominate a student who might have been that kid who just sought attention negatively and was having a rough go. And I knew probably would, not turn on a dime, but I think see things a little bit differently and almost force that maturity in that situation. New kids, new place, a topic, a hands-on STEM approach. There's a lot of kids sometimes don't like that traditional paper and pen writing workshop kind of lesson. They'd rather be on a computer designing an animation that's telling a story instead, and so very often I will think really long and hard who I'm nominating. And I only nominate a handful, 2, 3, 4 at a time. But tell people how teachers could actually go ahead and start that nomination program, especially with the Youth Leadership Forum, the Pathways to STEM program, all those. Tell them where they have to go to do that.
Yeah, so on our website, envisionexperience.com, there's actually a button right at the top that says nominate students. And our nominators, we call them mentors as well. We actually, it's a huge initiative for us right now, mentor engagement and how we work with teachers, because they're really important. We wouldn't be here without the teachers that nominate their students. I mean, it's super important. I think back to my experience when my guidance counselor nominated me, because again, they saw that like, oh, this kid doesn't know what he wants to do, or maybe he does. Like, let's push him, let's challenge him a little bit. And so like, I wouldn't be where I am without a teacher who just like was like, you know what, I'm going to nominate them for this experience. And two, there's a boost that the student gets when they get the mail package in the mail. And it's like, you were nominated to come to this like program. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, time out. Like, and our whole family got excited. Like, wait a minute, somebody recognized me. So
I have a story for you about that. Yeah. I have a story that now that you said that. So I just nominated somebody who you could almost go either way. I don't know if it's, but I got an email from the parent and the father, and he wrote back, I'm not sure if it was you or someone's using your name, but he was nominated. I just wanted to double check. I guess, he didn't really believe it or know the program. And I said, nope, that was me. I think he would actually like it. And I think it would do a wonder for him. I really thought he could step up to the plate. He may not have been the type of person who was stepping up to the plate all the time, but I thought in this situation he might. And apparently I got a second email that they told him that it was real, and all he was doing was running around the house with the letter in his hand. So like, yeah, it's exactly the same So maybe that kid that I just nominated is really you just now, 20 years later,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, go to our website, envisionexperience.com. Once you're a nominator, you get your own ID, and you're a lifelong nominator for us. Like whenever you feel like you have students, we definitely send them our way. And you could also connect with us on our social media accounts. Envision by World Strides is the handles. And we like to post things on there. Like we'll post not only things to get students excited, but also things about resources for teachers that they could read or articles that they read. I know, information is all over the place now, but if we come across something interesting, we'll share it. So that way, we want to build our network around us with all the teachers. So yeah.
I love that some of the social emotional, portions of that actually come through in your social media posts. You can see the kids, they're smiling, they're hanging out with their friends, their new friends, I should say. And you really, just by looking at you talk about a picture, can speak 1,000 words. You could really see how excited they are, whatever moment that was that picture was taken, what a great time they were actually having.
Yeah. I wish we could capture more of those. Like it's like some of the pictures we have, I'm like, man, there's just so many moments to capture and share. So, our team does a really good job, but it's kind of easy because it's just what it is. That's what we do. So yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great, when you have a good program and you really wish you could have everyone do it, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen, this has really been a lot of fun, very informative. I think, so I think teachers are going to be excited about knowing that they can nominate their students for this. I'm really glad we had the chance to learn more about Envision by World Strides and the National Youth Leadership Forum Pathways to STEM program. I love it. The kids that I've nominated who have gone have loved it. But again, it's an opportunity for them that will, be there for a lifetime. And I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who have been listening, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure you share what you've learned or any takeaways or reflections that you've had, and tag us on Twitter at Class Dynamics or Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. We always look forward to hearing your thoughts on our episodes and sharing the different ways in which you're using what you've learned. You can also help support Classroom Dynamics with as little as $3 a month at classroomdynamicspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Once again, I'd like to thank Anthony Varlisi from Envision by World Strides for joining us today on Classroom Dynamics. It's been a pleasure having you on with us. Great stories, great conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Classroom Dynamics, where knowledge and inspiration meets innovation. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and found it both insightful and uplifting. As always, my goal is to provide you with practical strategies, engaging stories, and powerful insights that can fuel your motivation as an educator. I believe that when knowledge and inspiration do come together, incredible things can happen in your classroom. And for all of you who may feel that it's too late to strengthen your craft, I challenge you to make it your mission to do so. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and it's never too late to infuse new life into your work. So why not make today that day to do so? I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. You can follow Classroom Dynamics on X at Class Dynamics or on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. If you haven't already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you know a teacher who may benefit from today's show, please share it with them. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement into your everyday routines. Until then, keep igniting that spark in your classroom and never stop believing in the incredible impact you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think. If you loved this episode, you're going to enjoy my conversation with Elaine Atherton of the Scratch Foundation. Whether you're familiar with Scratch or not, this is the coding episode for you. With her profound insights into creative learning and technology, Elaine has been at the forefront of revolutionizing the classroom experience through initiatives like Scratch, inspiring countless educators to integrate coding and computational thinking into their curricula.
How do we think of AI and how we integrate it and think of it with Scratch as it aligns to expressiveness as well as convenience, looking at the possibilities, not necessarily running away from we don't want to do this. We don't want it to be a part of the process. AI, especially in regards to image generation, it doesn't replace the creative process. We actually need to think about how to make it part of the creative process. It's going to happen.